To quiet down just a little bit, we have some exciting news today. The mayor is here to present to the City and County of San Francisco the 2017, 2018, 2019 budget for our great city. So welcome to the chamber, Mr. Mayor, and welcome to each and every one of you.
Thank you, President Breed, and also thank you, Supervisor Cohen, and to the supervisors, good morning, everyone, and to the audience, department heads and commissioners, and to our elected officials, good morning. This is the two-year balanced budget for City and County of San Francisco, and first I want to thank all of you for your input in this budget process. I also want to thank our City Controller, Ben Rosenfield, and his excellent budget team for all of the hard work that he's done with us this entire year. I also look forward to working with budget analyst Harvey Rose, who I've got to know for many years, and certainly Harvey, for you and your team, I look forward to working with all of you during the next coming weeks to finalize and get input from everybody to balance and make sure we pass this city's budget. When I assumed the great responsibilities of this office more than 6 years ago, we had to put people back to work. We had to restore service reductions. We had to rebuild our roads and create housing and adapt our human services to rapidly changing realities. San Francisco has enjoyed unparalleled prosperity during the past 6 years, with our economy expanding more this decade than any other time in our city's history. We've added more than 140,000 jobs since I took office, and unemployment remains below 3%. New housing is not only stabilizing prices, but it's also increasing our tax base. This budget includes historic levels of growth in our property tax base and rolls, and I want to thank the hard work of our assessor recorder, Carmen Chu, and her team. Thank you, Carmen. But with this economic growth comes expectations and challenges. Expectations that everyone should benefit from the city's prosperity. Expectations that families should be able to afford the city that they call home. And most significantly, expectations that our neighborhoods and our streets offer an experience that is safe, clean, and usable for everybody. We must deliver results to meet these expectations and solve for the challenges of our shifting realities. The issues plaguing our streets are undeniable, though not unique to San Francisco. The surge of opiate abuse and addiction on the streets and in homes across the country have introduced new challenges for communities in San Francisco and in America. We are grappling with a national opiate crisis that must be acknowledged by this country. And to meet this challenge, we'll need commitment, we'll need flexibility, we will need adaptation. The budget I put forward today presents new investments to address the behavioral health issues and heartbreaking evidence of addiction we witness on our streets every day. Let me be clear. Public drug use is not acceptable in San Francisco. It is harmful to the people injecting drugs, it is harmful to the people witnessing the abuse, and it is indeed harmful to the families and children who walk down our streets and see the discarded needles and human cost of addiction. And while we know that there is no silver bullet in solving addiction, we must continue to help every individual find their way to recovery and wellness. This includes stopping those individuals who prey on the most vulnerable residents, including those who help perpetrate addiction and crime. In this budget, we will build on the services and resources we know that are working, while also deploying new strategies to address changing issues. We will have proactive teams on the streets in our hardest hit neighborhoods, intervening to make sure individuals are not using drugs on our sidewalks or leaving harmful paraphernalia behind in public spaces where residents, children, visitors often frequent. We'll expand the hours of our harm reduction center and add 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, a resource center, so that those that are struggling on the streets do have a place where outreach teams can offer services and medical care, or even something as simple as a shower and a hot meal. This year, we will open the first navigation center for individuals experiencing mental health issues and addiction. Led by our Department of Public Health, this tailored navigation center will provide the supportive services individuals need to get on the path of recovery and wellness. We are also creating more conservatorship beds to help the most vulnerable people suffering from severe mental illness on our streets to avoid the revolving door of jail and hospitalization. Untreated behavioral health are among the most complex issues that we face today. And it takes investments, but also support and help of the entire city to make headway. It will require us to continue to identify and tackle the root causes that drive people into homelessness, be it behavioral health issues, economic issues, or basic breakdown of support. We must have compassion, but we must also have common sense. No person should be living in a tent or on our streets or in a filthy, unsanitary, and unsafe encampment. That's common sense. We are stepping up our encampment resolution teams to help move individuals and out of tents into stable, healthy living conditions, whether it be a navigation center, a shelter bed, supportive housing, or the treatment program they need. Last week, we celebrated the opening of the Dog Patch Navigation Center, which will have 64 new beds and a variety of services for individuals currently in tent encampments. And while this new center and the others in the pipeline are open, the number of beds at the navigation centers will increase under this budget by 150% by the end of the next fiscal year. We have seen the success of the navigation centers. Nearly 70% of residents who receive help transition into permanent housing, safe temporary placements, or are reunited with family members. And I have been heartened by the engagement and interest among many of you regarding the issue of tent encampments in your districts. So today I'm putting forth a challenge to the entire Board of Supervisors to work with us and help identify sites within your districts that are suitable for future navigation centers. I have in this budget allocated $6 million over the next 2 years for the creation of a new navigation center at a location to be identified by the Board of Supervisors. I'm asking you to work with me and with the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing and work with your communities to identify a site that will help people out of tent encampments and into stable living conditions. In addition to the navigation centers, we will continue to invest in permanent housing exits from homelessness. Since I took office, we have housed more than 5,700 formerly homeless individuals into supportive housing. We must continue the same level of commitment and tenacity. This budget includes 172 new units of supportive housing and $6 million in rental subsidies. Since the creation of the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing almost a year ago, we have worked hard to meet homeless individuals where they are and to address their needs. This budget also includes additional funding to expand programs that are tailored to the specific needs of different populations experiencing homelessness: families, youth, LGBTQ, and veterans. For families experiencing homelessness, we'll be adding nearly $2 million to open a new family shelter, and $3 million in rapid rehousing subsidies to help families pay the rent and get back on their feet. Additionally, we have allocated over $2 million to expand our city's homeless child care program, ensuring that every eligible child under the age of 5 receives free, quality child care. And extra investments are being made for our transitional aged youth. This budget includes funding to add drop-in hours and rental subsidies for those vulnerable young adults, many of whom seek refuge in our city to live a life of openness and inclusion. Funds will be added for youth outreach teams, which will help move these young adults off the streets and into homes and supportive services. By the end of this year, we have vowed to end chronic veterans homelessness, and by 2019, we will find housing for 800 families experiencing homelessness. This budget sets the blueprint for these ambitious tasks. It also arrives with plenty of fiscal challenges. We face, ladies and gentlemen, an uncertain future. The last 6 months have shown how much we in San Francisco can accomplish when we work together toward positive solutions that protect our residents from the discriminatory and heartless policies of the White House. The federal administration recently released their draft budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And it could not be more different than the budget that I present to you today. The federal budget calls for reductions in housing and social safety net programs. Our budget expands services for those most in need and ensures we continue to have a thriving nonprofit sector in San Francisco. The federal budget seeks to strip away health coverage from Americans who cannot afford it. Our budget expands mental health services and medical care for those in need. The federal budget increases ICE officers and other immigration enforcement resources. Our budget seeks to keep families together by funding legal services and rapid response for our immigrant communities. The federal budget seeks to reduce the availability of food to low-income citizens. Our budget increases funding for home-delivered meals. And while tax reform plans benefit the richest Americans and do little for the country's vulnerable populations, our budget funds free city college for all San Franciscans. It is the city of St. Francis, and we will not let misguided policies emanating from Washington, D.C. drive our agenda. But the risk to our city's financial stability is still great, especially in relation to the Affordable Care Act. There are real-life local effects to policies that are delivered in Washington, but some of the largest reductions we are grappling with come from Sacramento. The state support for the In-Home Support Services program, which enables 22,000 elderly and disabled San Franciscans to live independently in their homes, has plummeted in the most recent state budget. And so, to ensure continuity of this vital program, this budget covers a loss of $21 million in revenue over the next 2 years to ensure no one loses the help that they need to live in the communities independently in their homes and in their communities. We are also backfilling $1 million to foster care youth legal assistance and to the state cuts to CalWORKs. The budget that I'm putting forth for the upcoming 2 fiscal years reflects the uncertainty of the future. And over the next 2 years, I have added 2 important additional reserves: the Affordable Care Act Reserve and the State and Federal Impact Reserve. I believe it is imperative in this time of strength that we prepare for the challenges ahead. This budget will show how we can meet the expectations of our residents while being fiscally disciplined. And we can make strategic investments today, and we can prepare for the uncertainty of the future. We'll continue to support investments that we have made during the last 6 years and work to ensure the sustainability of those programs and services. This budget will fund historic levels of infrastructure investments over the next 2 years, ensuring that our neighborhood roads are paved, our libraries are open, our local parks are cared for, and our community centers are accessible for our youth and for our families. This budget invests in capital dollars in projects that meet the need and the opportunities of this city, creating more than 4,440 jobs and investing more than $530 million in our neighborhoods. We are quadrupling the efforts of our Fix-It teams, a pilot program that started a year ago on the quality of life concerns in our neighborhood corridors, from trees to street encampments, graffiti to potholes, poor street lighting to unsightly news racks. In 2017, the Fix-It team's efforts will expand to 20 specific corridors, representing every supervisorial and police district in San Francisco. And to complement the expansion of the Fix-It program, we're increasing the street cleaning budget by $3.5 million in the next 2 years. We will have a renewed focus on cleaning those streets that have been plagued by tenant encampments and dirty needles, as well as specific neighborhood issues. Through continued funding, we will reach the city charter mandated police staffing levels as well. This enables us to fully meet our community policing goals and focus on reducing neighborhood crimes. Because we all know safe streets and vibrant communities take a multi-department and multi-pronged approach. This budget not only represents our investments in our communities, it represents an investment in all of our future. We still have much left to accomplish together over the next 2.5 years, and I have no intention of slowing down. In fact, I intend to be sprinting to the finish. In the months ahead, I look forward to working with each and every one of you supervisors to forge thoughtful and compassionate, common sense approaches to these complicated issues and challenges. This is a time of great uncertainty and turmoil at the national level, but we at locally cannot be timid, we cannot be ambivalent, and we should remain confident, and we will remain resolute. We are saying strongly and proudly, San Francisco is a city that cares about all of its residents, and this budget reflects our commitment to every single person who calls this city their home. Thank you.